Hi guys, so this is the fifth episode of the series about work and faith. This is my mum, Jo, and I'm Ethan. We've been part of this congregation here at Calverley St Wilfrid's for a long time now, and we're just going to have kind of a conversation just talking about how my mum's kind of how her faith has impacted how she's been working at several workplaces she's had. So just first, would you just like to tell me, so who are you first? I know who you are, but who are you?
That's a good job that you know who I am.
And kind of what have you done for work?
Yeah, sure. So I think you've already introduced me. I'm your mum. Yeah. So I'm Jo Edwards. I'm married to Dave and we have 3 adult children and Ethan is our youngest. And what have I done? Well, actually in preparing for this, it just made me realise actually how many jobs I've done in the 26 or so years since I left university. So I've done all sorts of things, most of them really interesting jobs. I've been a haematologist, I've worked in an air traffic control tower, I've done a little bit of nursing, and I've worked for a couple of Christian charities. But my most recent job, which I'm 2 shifts into, is a forensic collision investigator.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a real balance, isn't it, between, well, every sector you can think of, yeah. So do you just want to maybe zoom in on each of those and give a quick description to kind of...
I can do. I think what's really struck me is that those jobs are so varied. Yeah. Some have involved working in hospitals, one's been in an air traffic control tower, I've worked in schools, I've been an at-home mum because I really wanted to be around for you and Isaac and Jess growing up. And I've worked in an office, I've worked in other people's houses, I've even worked, thanks to COVID, in our house for the last 2 years. But the one constant has really been my faith. So through all of the variety of the jobs and the different places and even the different roles I've had, I've just been really thankful that I've just known that God is with me in every single job that I've done. There's a great verse, and my screen has just gone blank, it's from Joshua, but it's all about being really courageous and don't be discouraged because I'm with you wherever you go. Yeah. And I can honestly say that in 26 years of my working life, wherever I've gone, I've really known that I've got God with me, and that's really important to me and really special.
Yeah, so just there you zoomed in on faith. So how has your faith specifically helped you at work, and just what difference does it make, do you think? Okay,
so I'm going to talk about my most recent job at the Christian charity Transforming Lives for Good, or TLG for short. So they work with local churches all across the UK, and they're really there to support children and families who are struggling for whatever reason, and that might be a child who's struggling because they've experienced bereavement, or they're being bullied, or maybe family breakdown. But TLG want those children to have somebody who can just be an advocate for them. And they really believe in the local church, working with local schools. And so I've been a manager of people, a manager of TLG staff for the last 7 years. And I suppose it's been a real privilege working in a Christian organisation, in that every single morning at TLG from 9:30 till 10 to 10, we know not to send any emails, we know not to ring anybody, because as a staff team we all gather together for a prayer time together and a little devotion, so like reading something from the Bible that is going to encourage and inspire us in our faith. And that happens without fail every day. And again, like if I've had a tricky meeting, I know that I'm working with colleagues who also have that faith. Yeah. And so we'll just sit and we'll start the meeting in prayer. asking God to be part of our decision making, asking for God's wisdom, asking for ultimately just like his help, because we're just human and we make mistakes, and I make quite a few of those, as you will be able to say yes to. But just asking God for his help is something that's really struck me, and is something that I don't take for granted. I really value just being able to shout out to God whenever I need his help. And
so there you touched on, well, everyone in that workplace being of faith. So how has that been? Because I know that increasingly now workplaces are changing, and that it perhaps won't be like the workplace that you've had. So do you just want to kind of explain the difference that has made from perhaps working with people with no faith to working with everyone that has a faith? So what's that been like for you?
Well, there's definitely been obviously a freedom to talk about Jesus and to talk about the difference faith makes. There are times when someone will get some bad news in the office, and we will literally just all gather round and pray for them to know God's peace. Or it might be that we're, as a charity, we're always, we obviously need money to operate. And so we've been really reliant on our grants and corporate team finding extra finance. And sometimes when we've known there are kind of applications that have been submitted on behalf of TLG, we'll just gather together to pray that that application will be successful. And the number of times we've done that and then money has come in by the end of the week is just wonderful to see. I think while I've been there, I would say I've really been inspired in my faith. I've been encouraged, I've been challenged, and I hope I've been that for other people as well, that I've been a challenge to them in their faith and an encouragement to them. But it's been great being a part of, I suppose, a working community where everybody has that common faith, that common goal, knowing that the work we do is really making a difference. And through the work we do, we really believe that God is putting volunteers from local churches alongside children who are really struggling. And ultimately we know that that really impacts those children for the better and their families. So it's just been a great place to work.
And so before you talked about kind of starting the day with a verse, is there any verse that's kind of stood out to you? I know that you've not worked there for a period of time now, but can you remember a verse that kind of did stand out to you that was kind of refreshing to start your day with?
I think I would say there's just an expectation that nothing is too difficult for God. And even when humanly speaking the stats might not look good, or like if there's a fundraising dinner and they haven't got that many people signed up, it's just, there's that belief, there's that faith, there's that hope that God is going to answer our prayers. And the number of times we've seen answers to our prayers as we've literally just prayed them, it's been amazing how many times that has happened. And it's just, we know that God is faithful, and he asks us to tell him what we need, and he's faithful. So I guess, just that nothing is impossible for him.
And is there an example of something like that that's happened where you kind of half didn't expect anything, but then because of that faith and prayer, it did happen for you? Like what happened with that?
So I guess one that really sticks out in my mind is, so we work with volunteers from local churches, and one of the volunteers, we got an email from her parents to say she was in hospital. She had been suddenly diagnosed with a type of leukemia, and the medical staff did not think she would pull through. And as an organisation, we have really been intentional about continuing to pray for this girl, and we get kind of weekly emails from the parents, and she actually did pull through. It's been a long time. It's been months and months, if not more than a year now. but she is back at home. There's a long way to go. But just together as a community, we were really believing that God would do something special in her life and heal her. And she is on that road to recovery. But just it was great to pray together with staff, knowing that they all had that hope, they all had that faith that we could call out to God, knowing that he hears our prayers.
Yeah. And I guess through what we've just been saying, we've kind of touched on the next question, which is, how has work helped you with your faith?
So I've probably answered that, maybe. Just working with other Christians, it's obviously really different from working in a secular environment, and I really know that, even in the 2 days that I've been in my current job. But it's knowing that other people are really for you. I would say I've worked previously in places where you know, someone will leave the room and then there's a little bit of chat about that person that may not be very encouraging or positive. Whereas in a Christian organisation, it's really felt like people really want the best for you. People are for you. They're kind of with you. There's a real togetherness and a sense of community, which brings something special to a workplace.
A verse that comes to mind for me there is Proverbs 27 verse 17, which is iron sharpens iron.
Definitely.
And I guess through working at TLG, you've kind of felt a bit of that, working alongside other Christians.
Definitely.
Right, so
thanks.
The next question is, how has church helped you with work and faith, and how could we help more as a church?
Okay. How has church helped? So I think being part of a community, feeling like this is a safe place, that whatever happens at work, whether it's a Christian workplace or a secular workplace, you know, there are difficult days, there are sad days, there are challenging days, and there are really great days. But church is that place where I feel like I belong. I know that there are people I can go to and just crumple in a heap and say, I've had a really rubbish week, will you just pray with me, or just give me a hug? And that again is something really special. I have been part of a house group, and again just the sense of trust within that smaller group, where I know I can go and talk with any of those ladies and they would be happy to just stand with me in prayer, or you know, just say that encouraging word, or just listen even, and I've really valued that. And I think it's like a weekly thing, isn't it, where you know, from one week to the next, it's good to have just that reminder that we're not on our own, that we're part of a bigger family in our community of Calverley, and I've really valued that. What could church do better? I really don't know. I think this is a great church. I think it's a great community to be part of. There's always things we can do better. I guess I feel sad sometimes that there's a whole village out there that may not have even set foot in this building, and I think sometimes we expect a lot of people to come in and try us, and so whether there's a way of us going out and doing something, I guess that's what we do in our lives, isn't it? We go out and we live and we demonstrate Jesus to our neighbours or to the people I walk past when I'm walking our dog Pepper, but that's always a challenge in my mind, like how can I take Jesus out rather than expect people to come in? I don't know whether that answered the question really, but
it did. So you touched on life groups there.
House groups,
house groups, sorry. So how has that been? Because I guess that is obviously part of the church, and so how has that been to kind of encourage you in your faith, but also like with your home life, with your work life? How has that kind of encouraged you as a Christian and as a mum?
So I think it's just great to read the Bible together. We've obviously done some series together looking at prayer. That was a great one. And it's just good. Like, we're human, we all have doubts, we all have things that we don't really know the answer to, we all have things that we have to kind of grapple with. And so to do that with someone else or with a small group who are also grappling with maybe their faith or what do they think about a certain thing, it's just helpful, isn't it, to bounce off other people and not be doing that in a solitary manner, but doing it with companions, I guess, who are journeying in their faith too.
Yeah. So I think we've answered all the questions, haven't we? Yeah.
You've been a great interviewer, I think.
So guys, I think
maybe I'm biased.
I think that's it for episode 5 of the Work and Faith series. There might be more coming, so look out for them on the YouTube channel here that we've got. But yeah, I've been your host, and I've had my beautiful assistant here that has helped answer the questions.
Great. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all soon.